Hello, hello. Welcome to Reading Time. My name's Time, and this week we're reading The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. Let's get to reading. The Secret Garden is a children's novel about a young girl named Mary. Mary moves to England after being orphaned in India. She moves to her uncle's home. However, he is not very present during the story. Being spoiled and generally a contrary child, Mary becomes more healthy and loving as she discovers a secret garden and as she becomes friends with those around her. Mary is not the only one who grows through friendship and through the secret garden. And overall, the book ends very happily and with each character being better than they were before. I am definitely giving this book a 5-star rating. And even though there is some content that I have had issues with in other books, I think I'm finding that there's just a specific type of historical fiction that I really enjoy. That being this kind of Victorian era children's novel with female protagonists. And I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that it kind of reminds me of my childhood and stuff I enjoyed when I was younger. But beyond just liking the genre, each of the characters in this story has a distinct personality and a distinct voice. And the growth of these characters is something that is very endearing and something that I thoroughly enjoyed in this book. Now, as I mentioned, there is some content to be aware of. First off, for violence, some characters do get into arguments, and there is also mention of Mary hitting her Aya, who was her caretaker in India, when she didn't get what she wanted. Another character, Ben Weatherstaff, tells a story about a man who hit his wife at some point too. This is very brief and not explicit in any way. For substance usage, very early on in the book, Mary is hungry and looking for food and drink and finds some leftover alcohol that someone had left out, and she drinks it, gets a little drunk, and goes to bed, falls asleep. Ben Weatherstaff again mentions in that same story about the man who hit his wife, he mentions that man also getting drunk as a lord. For other content, there are racist references to natives of India in this book, and it seems to be a trend with a lot of these English written books during this time period. Most of these references really do seem to be a misunderstanding of culture and the differences in culture and social class. Additionally, this book does feature some child neglect. At the beginning of the book, when we are first introduced to Mary, we learn that her mother didn't want to be a mom, and her parents were both generally too busy for her. And so she was passed off onto servants who generally didn't like her because she was such a disagreeable child. As such, at the beginning of the book, when there's a disease and people start dying and freaking out, Mary gets forgotten. And ultimately, she gets left behind by everyone. Everyone forgets her and leaves her until she is found by someone else later on. But still, there is that child neglect. And when she does go to England, she is taken care of and people are aware of her, but she is kind of left to her own devices. So that is something to be aware of as well. Reading level wise, I would say this would be a 4th through 8th grade reading level. It would be appropriate for late elementary school and middle school students. The 3 main children characters themselves range in age from about 10 to 12, and so they would fit right in that age group as well. Now, this book heavily emphasizes 2 or 3 main ideas, I would say. The first main idea or theme is that fresh air and being outside is one of the most beneficial things a child can do to take care of their health. The second main idea or theme that is seen is that a positive mindset is important as well and can make or break one's health. Thirdly, we see that people can change, and specifically that people can change for the better, that even when they have been stuck in a rut for 10 years, they can come out of it and can come out the other side a better person. These are all ideas that I think are beneficial and still beneficial even in this day and age, even though we are definitely in a different time period from when this was written. We generally don't see as much outside playtime for students or children anymore, but it's still a very important part of childhood development, and it can create an interest in the natural world. So this book could be paired a little bit with that outside time. This book could be read outside, even if you are in a classroom setting. It can be fun to sometimes break up the monotony of reading in class and go outside to read. Students could also grow their own plants, learn about growing plants and the biology behind that. And this could even work in different areas. If you're in an area where the flowers grown in the book wouldn't grow, you could still talk about growth for other types of plants or what a garden would look like in a different area. For example, I live in a desert and I would not likely see a garden of the same variety as the English one in the book. However, I've still seen beautiful gardens with beautiful desert plants here. So overall and all around, this was a very enjoyable book for me, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I would definitely recommend it. For the poster square for this week, we are right here with some leaves to represent that garden. Let me know what you think about The Secret Garden in the comments below. Is this one that you have read before? And let me know if you have any other book recommendations. If you are not already, feel free to subscribe to the channel and follow me on Facebook or Instagram for updates about what I'm reading. And believe it or not, it has been almost exactly a year since my first video was posted. If you haven't seen it, feel free to go check that out. And check out the rest of the videos on this channel if you haven't already. Now, as always, I hope that you have a marvelous week and a wonderful read.